Caution, the Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience. And, besides that, he's really weird. Welcome to the Mark Gungor Show with international marriage speaker and author of Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage, Mark Gungor. This is your source for practical, down-to-earth marriage advice without all the over-spiritualization or romantic nonsense. And now the host of the Mark Gungor Show, Mark Gungor.
Crowd goes wild with delirious joy. They've joined the Mark Gungor Show, the show that deals with all things concerning. Hello. Same problem as last time. What's my problem? Concerning marriage. There it is, marriage. What is it with me and the buttons lately? Anyway, I am, of course, your host, the one, the only Mark Gungor. Joining me as always, the very lovely and very blue. Very blue.
Smurfette. Super fat? Is that what you said?
Smurfette.
Smurfette.
Wow.
I thought you said super fat.
Super fat.
What? Okay. Remind me later. I have a story to tell you where I also misheard something that I went, what? But that's not for on the air.
Oh, my gosh. So, Mark Gungor was super fat. Diane.
Like, Phil, you're always so nice to me. Come on.
And the amazing Philip James Gungor. Engineering the show is always the very talented but eerily creepy Timothy Robert Ray, pushing buttons, twisting knobs, and trying to stay awake during this incomprehensibly, immeasurably boring show. This is the show that shut up.
Stop.
Button problems, I'm telling you. This is the show that handles your marital challenges, relational conundrums, and
You can't talk either.
dating dilemmas. All these problems that you have. You can email to me at ask@markgungor.com. I have to think, what's the address? ask@markgungor.com. Email us your questions about love, marriage, and relationship, datings, whatever, money, and any kind of stuff that couples like to wrestle over. And we'll do our best to opine upon them. What do you got there?
5 bad habits that can lead to infidelity.
One thing, calling a chick fat. That's
Super fat.
super fat. Calling a chick.
See, we were just talking about how I don't always hear the sound. I don't hear it properly. There was a perfect example.
Maybe you are sticking those Q-tips too far into your ear.
Maybe I am.
Super fat.
Super fat.
All right, super fat. What do you
Okay. Number 1, criticizing your spouse in public, in private, or online. Criticism, nagging, or
Now, wait a
constantly
minute. I've
correcting
heard
your spouse.
criticizing your spouse in public always makes things better. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's the worst.
They say it makes your spouse more vulnerable to an affair.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I do this to my wife, she's not going to have an affair. She's just going to kill me. Then she can get married legally again. It won't matter.
They say when you look at your spouse with a critical eye, you are more likely to be drawn to someone who will compliment them. So they will be more likely to be drawn to someone who will compliment them instead of criticizing.
All right.
I'd buy that.
That's probably why I haven't had an affair. Is nobody compliments me all the time.
Well, okay. Number 2, bad habit that can lead to...
That's one reason.
Okay, I just went over that.
Okay.
Number 2, bad habit that can lead to infidelity, lack of physical affection. I know you're big on this one.
Yeah.
If you and your spouse aren't hugging, kissing, holding hands, etc., that's a big warning sign. Frequent sexual intimacy is obviously important as well, but these smaller acts of everyday physical touch are so important to the physical and emotional connectedness that keep a husband and wife bonded.
Yeah, people say, well, I don't feel like doing it. Listen, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to get yourself in trouble. Because someone who lacks physical touch, when they start getting touched by someone else, it's easy to get, on that. And if they're not careful, you can wind up in a bad place. That's not to say, because you're not getting touched as much as you want, that you should climb into bed with them.
They're just saying it can lead. It makes you vulnerable.
Yes, it does.
All these things make you vulnerable. Doesn't mean you're going to.
Yes.
They're just vulnerable. Number 3, surrounding yourself with friends who don't know or don't like your spouse. I think this is a big one.
That is a huge
when
one.
you're around
Yes.
friends and they're ragging your husband and they're this and
He's
that.
always that, and he's that. You should get away from him. You should divorce him anyway. And,
I think
he
that's-
doesn't appreciate you. He doesn't really know you
Yes.
for who you are. Oh man.
Yes.
That's like-
I know people firsthand who that was a huge contributing factor to
Yeah.
their divorce.
Wow. All right.
Number 4, believing your way is always the right way or the only way.
Now, wait a minute.
See last week's show.
Wait a minute. My way is the only right way. Mm-hmm. What was last week's show?
That's not true. That was only talking about how you always keep doing what you want to do and it doesn't matter what the other person...
Exactly.
Yeah, it
Yes.
does.
Believing and knowing are two different things.
That's right. You can, or acting like it. You can believe it all you want. You can
No.
live in your delusional
Nobody
world.
says, but if you know it.
If you know
So
it.
if you know you're always right, that's different than just simply believing.
No.
Because there are those of us who just...
Yeah. You know what
know.
I've learned? I've learned that I know I can be dead right. I mean, I would bet my last dime, my grandchildren, and my children on it, and I will shut up. I know that I'm right, and I will still shut up.
Here's what I've experienced. I know I'm dead right. I would sell all y'all because I'm dead right. And then find out I was wrong.
No. It's not I found out I was wrong. It's
That's the worst one.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because- and
you
that's-
would do that. I would not.
You're absolutely convinced, and then you find out it's not that way. You
No.
oh.
I've just learned to just zip it.
Zip it, zippy.
Zip it, Skippy.
Zip
and
it,
the last
zippy.
one.
Oh, Skippy.
Skippy.
Okay.
Zip it, Skippy.
I always say that wrong. I always say zip it, zippy.
Zip it, Skippy.
All right, Skippy.
Zip
over
it,
there.
zippy.
Fat Smurf.
Come on, Fat Smurf.
The last one, keeping secrets from your spouse. Secrecy is the enemy of intimacy. The moment you start deleting text messages, hiding things you're doing, things you hope your spouse won't find out about, you're already way out of line.
Yikes.
It will make you vulnerable. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
I know.
It
It just puts you in a
just
bad place. Don't do all this
makes
stuff.
you
Don't criticize. Don't deny the person affection. Don't surround yourself with people who can't stand your spouse. Don't always think you're right. And don't be hiding stuff. Like how many pairs of shoes you buy on a trip. I've heard people hide stuff like that. I just say it's horrible.
You don't actually hide your shoes, do you?
Well, what do you call it if you just don't tell them you bought them? What is that called?
And then you put them on some Sunday morning, and she's like,
It's the first time she's ever seen them.
did you get
And
those?
Yes.
I say, are those? Well, see what I used to ask. I used to ask my wife, "Is that new?" She's like, well, "No."
I've had it for a long
because
time.
new in her mind would have meant I just came home
Yes.
from the store. But it's been like a week at least.
It's a week, so it's not really new.
No. I've had this for a long time.
I've had it for
Long time.
Yeah, I've never worn them before. I still have a few pairs of shoes I've never worn.
No.
Can you believe that?
Yes, I can, because you have so many flippin' shoes. You could wear a new pair of shoes every day and
I
not
could.
get through them all.
Ah, that's not true. That's my goal is to get to that. I just have.
I don't have a pair of shoes in my closet that I've never worn. I have worn No, I have one, but I just got them recently. And so that's the only one pair that I haven't worn yet.
All right, then you're guilty.
Just one.
Don't condemn if you're guilty.
I have a small fraction of the shoes in my closet compared to yours. And I'm a woman.
You're just jealous. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with your emails right after this.
Fat Smurf.
Attend Mark's Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage event. Visit laughyourway.com for upcoming dates and locations.
Mark Gungor here in my sparkly jacket, here to talk to you about Transition One, a one-year transition gap year program that we have for kids that are coming out of high school and before they go into college. Slow down. Take a year. The Bible says, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things that you want will be added to you. Well, we think, oh, no, I got to get the stuff. No, you'll get the stuff. God wants you to get, God will help you get your stuff and do life. But slow down for a minute. You don't need to just rush off in a mad burst to try and get all the stuff you can from the world going to some college. And not everybody should even be going to college. There's a whole nother sermon. But for heaven's sakes, whatever you do, take a year. Slow down. Put God first. This is the most likely time that you'll ever have to take a year and just put God really first in your life. When you're going to do it? After you graduate from college? Not likely. After you get married? Forget about it. When you have kids? Are you kidding? Maybe when you're 65, but then you don't have the energy to go do it anymore. When else are we going to do it? It's the perfect time. It's the perfect time. Encourage your young people. They're freshmen right now, so it's great. Listen, I'm telling you, what I want you to do is, and there's several of these programs out there. I think you should come to ours. But whatever you do, slow down. Get into your kids' thinking. What we're going to do is you're going to go to high school, and then you're going to do a 1-year gap program where you're going to focus on your faith and life and how to do life. And then, after that, you can go to college, you can do whatever else. It'll save you a lot of money. It'll help them focus. They'll be changed forever if you will do this. Go check out our website, transition1.org. Transition1.org. Slow down. Put Jesus first. See what that does for our young people. Yeah, I am the doctor of love. I need a great physician. Here on the Mark Gungor Show, talking about love, marriage, and relationships, along with Phil Gungor and really fat Diane.
Is there something that you want to share, Phil, that we didn't get to, or is there a context for this that you wanted to share at the end of the last?
You said you look like a super Smurf because you're blue. And you said he said you were super fat.
No, I'm talking about when he came in at the end of the last show. He had some brilliant insight.
We were ignoring.
Do we need to get it in the context? No.
Oh, context. It probably fits into pretty much anything we talk about, so you can just.
And then when you get a chance, you'll dump it in there.
I'll just start yelling.
Okay. Ooh, 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 like Horseshack on. Ooh, 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 Mr. Carter, Mr. Carter. I'm aging myself, I know. Okay, first email says, I've heard many times.
Not bad for a fat chick.
Through my life that a woman's priorities should be 1, God, 2, husband, 3, children.
Okay.
Well, in my case, as a single mother, my daughter has always been my only other consideration. However, I've started dating again and have a wonderful Christian boyfriend.
Oh, I'm sure he's wonderful.
And I just wondered, when should I start considering him a priority? Assuming we get married someday, at what point should he take priority over my children?
I hate those conversations. I hate this debate. I hate even the discussion. People who have to sit there and analyze who comes first over the other, I think they're all nuts. You just do what you got to do, right? You love your husband, you love your children, you love God. No, I got to love God more than I love the next guy, and I got to love the next guy better than I love the next thing. I think it's craziness. Who sits there and analyzes stuff like that?
The woman writing the email.
Well, it's not her fault because everybody says that stuff to go to Bible study.
Well, that's what she said.
Now that's what it says in the Bible study, that you should love God first and your husband second, your children last. And, so now she needs to know, when does she make this emotional adjustment to where he comes before my children? I don't know. Who thinks in terms like that? Who goes before anybody? What are you going to do, throw your children under the bus because you're going to spend time with your husband?
Oh, there are many people
they're nuts.
do that.
I know, they're all crazy.
Many people
and
do
they're miserable. They're miserable, and they're divorced for the 37th time, and it never ends. How about you stop thinking in these terms? Good grief. What is the point of that anyway? What exactly are they trying to accomplish?
You mean with making the priority list?
What's the point? What are you trying to say?
Because there has to be something that's the most important, that this is how you're supposed to spiritually live your life out with your priorities.
How about you just love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might?
There you go.
There you go. And then love your husband, honor him, or respect him. Love and cherish your children. How about love your friends? How about love Mark Gungor on the Mark Gungor Show?
He's way at the bottom of the list.
Right away, order your bobblehead. But who's going to sit there and, no, I got to do this for... there's people like this who do it with their children and their stepchildren. Well, I got to love my children more than I love the stepchildren because this is my priority. I just think these people are crazy. These are dysfunctional. These are people,
my kid.
They should not ever get married. These are people who should not reproduce.
Agreed.
What the heck's the matter with people?
Agreed.
Well, I can only love my child more. I can only love my stepchild because if I love my stepchild more, then it's cheating, right? What kind of dysfunctional people think this way?
Dysfunctional people.
You just love people. How about you love all the kids? How about you be kind, especially if you're their stepkid or whatever? You love them. You love them all the same. Okay, I'm going to say, why not? Just love people. You're supposed to love everybody. That's just the only time you don't love somebody equally, you don't make out with every woman you see.
That's a different kind of love.
You can't physically love everybody. I get that kind of, but beyond that, just love. What do you do when you go to church? You go, well, I love the pastor more than I love the deacon, and I love the deacon more than I love that elder. And I love those guys a lot better than the lady who's working at the volunteer counter. Just who thinks in these terms about analyzing who comes first and who? I think it's crazy. I've seen
budgeting.
Love budgeting.
Love budgeting, and they literally think that. They think love is an unlimited bucket. That they only got so much in it, and I just thank God I'm not like that, and I don't know anybody like that. Well, I've met people like that. Stay away from them. Good grief, that's their version of love. Is it can only be so much, I can only spend so much time with one kid because then I'm robbing the other kid, and one grandkid, and I love the grandkid more and more. Just.
But I would say this.
Say it.
For her. Now, one thing I've heard you say, you really encourage a lot of times, I'm assuming she's younger. You encourage them to, from time to time, especially if they're not ready, but to wait for the kid, to get older and stuff like that. But
I do that just for simplicity's sake. It gets really complicated.
But
if you have children who are like anywhere near 10 years old and older, you should not be getting married again. You should just wait until those kids get out of the house. What, you can't last 5 years, 6 years, whatever you think you're going to die? Just wait. Because if you do it now, what you're going to do is you're going to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight, and you're divorced again and doing this all over again.
But if you choose to do it the right way, the Bible tells you if you're at that point in life and you have the desire, Paul says, you should get married.
Yeah.
You can take that up with Paul. But I see what you're saying.
So he wasn't only speaking to first-time people.
No, he said if you have
I'm talking about Paul. Paul only said it to first time people.
No. What did he say? If because he was
better to marry than to burn.
Talking about the older widows, and then he talked about the younger ones, though, who may have lost their husband. If they have that desire, then they should get remarried again, which is I'm assuming where she would kind of fall into that category. So it's more about, to be honest with you, depending on why the first one ended. I think what you're saying is you probably don't have those marriage skills, which might be why the first marriage ended. And if you're not going to work on those marriage skills and learn how to actually do it correctly, and then you throw in the whole thing with your kid.
Because that makes it very complicated anyway.
I get that. And you're absolutely dead on right. What I'm just saying, I just hate this discussion or debate
of who do I love more?
Priorities. Who do I love more?
Which would prove right there.
Who the heck loves people more?
But the marriage skills aren't right.
I don't think her marriage skills are right. I don't think she's viewing this thing in the right way. It shouldn't be a thing of...
It shouldn't be about that.
Yeah.
Because if you think you have to do either or, you're going to lose. Because if you put him above your kids, you're going to lose. If you put your kids above him, you are going to lose.
You have to put your friends above your spouse, you're going to lose.
If you put your job above, if you put whatever it is.
Yeah, just stop. Why is something always got to exclude something else? Other than sexual intimacy, obviously, financially, I'm going to pay for my kids and grandkids and not yours. Okay, or the neighbor's kids. So there's like a priority.
Yeah.
But man, if they were all living in my house, I'd love them all the same. Yeah. Who thinks in terms of and I've met people like this who literally have told me I can't love this kid that is my spouse's kid because I have to love my kid more. What the heck kind of thinking is that?
Because it's not my kid.
I'm so glad because you were just because you were adopted.
Yes.
I also was adopted. My dad never, ever, ever treated us differently than his actual physical children. Never. Not even a hint. You would have never guessed. People who know us would never guess that we were stepbrothers and stepsisters. In fact, the only way we even talk about it is we have to actually think it through. Well, yeah, technically, he was adopted. Because there's no limit on love. That's just absurd. I'm so glad. I only can imagine how dysfunctional and twisted in my head I would have grown up if the guy who adopted us treated us like second-class citizens over his own children. If anything,
because I've seen it.
If anything, I think my dad treated us better than...
Same in my case.
But only because we felt that loved.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not the case at all. But I'm just saying that there's no limit on love. Anyway, I'm irritated. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more right after this.
Have a marriage dilemma? Email your questions to ask@markgungor.com, and Mark can answer them during one of our shows.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show talking about love, marriage, and relationships, along with the Blue Smurf and Phil Gungor. Just a little bit more on this thing about... I'm not yelling at this lady.
Right.
She is being told...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm yelling at her like I'm thinking about other women that I know
Yes.
like her. I didn't mean to yell at her.
Well, no, and just the thinking in general.
That you have to love your husband more than you love your children. You have to love this more than that. And this whole thing about priorities. These pastors come up with this stuff because they have to preach on something. I think they're bored. So let's preach on priorities. So they come up with this thing, and I think it's absurd. I have literally heard pastors preach this, that if we're out swimming in a lake and I see my wife starting to drown and my daughter starting to drown, I need to go save my wife.
I don't even like this scenario.
It's a crazy scenario. I mean, who does that? So I'm telling you, ladies like this,
So they
churches
act like
this.
that's a litmus test for where your loyalties and your
Yes.
priorities and your
Yes.
love are. That sucks. Sorry.
Listen, I love my wife. If a little neighborhood kid is drowning, your instant reaction will be go to save the kid. Mm-hmm. The weakest, right? Mm-hmm. To actually put people in that kind of mentality in their head, where they're actually part
Those
of the
moral
sermon
dilemmas.
the moral one. Who would you go save first? You need to go save your wife instead of your daughter because you need to put your wife first. This kind of stuff is not helpful to people. Mm-hmm. First of all, who deals with moral dilemmas like that? I'd be yelling, I told you to put on your life vest.
I told you.
Nobody ever listens to me. I argue with my wife about that now, just saying the kids boating and stuff.
Well, keeping the life vest on.
Yeah, but I really get intense with this because it doesn't take long before those kids will start drifting away or just even holding on. Because sometimes we'll go like up the river and stuff. Mm-hmm. There's parts up the river. You haven't been way up the river with us yet. But the water's really moving fast. When that thing gets thin like that water's cooking. A good 7, 8, 10 knots. And the kids want to get in the water. Oh, let them, no. Well, they'll just stay by the... No. Because all they got to do is so I made sure they were tied on to their little floaty things or whatever with a rope to the boat. And I got in the water, and I didn't. And oh my gosh, I am kicking as hard as I can to get back to the stupid. That's some serious stuff. Why am I talking about boating? Oh, because that stupid pastor had people making the choice, drowning.
But so, it leads into poor relationship skills, which I was having a conversation with some folks, and they were talking about how they've never hear this stuff, right? So I was over in Switzerland doing the spiel, and I was shocked.
Now we have 2 international Gungors.
We do. Look at that.
Speaking of relationships.
We're multiplying.
Like father, like son.
Oh, my.
He just hasn't learned how to dress cool yet like me.
I was taking out all the heresy of what he has and
injecting your own.
Really bringing back the truth. No, with so many people, they come up and they've never heard this stuff. Yeah. And all of these people had like 6 or 7 master's degrees. I mean, extremely smart people, traveled all the world. They all speak 3 or 4 different languages. I was clearly the dumbest person in the room. And I'll come in with this, I guess, right after the break then. But I want to get in what I figured.
No, we'll come back with it.
Okay.
But this is my world. This is why people pay your old man obscene amounts of money to come speak to them.
That was part of my thing.
I'm serious.
Because they don't know this stuff.
Because these people, it's amazing how little people know about relationships. Yeah. So I just walk into common sense nonsense that people are like amazed and they're hypnotized.
Ooh, you're the guru.
Where'd you get your PhD? I didn't get a PhD. I don't have a D or a P, for heaven's sake.
No one says it. The pastors don't say it. They've never heard it in school. They've never hit it. And I came up with an epiphany.
An epiphany.
You had an epiphany.
It probably wasn't. I probably just ran into the same thing he did.
That was interesting. I want to see what his epiphany is after this. But no, that's right. The reason why we're even doing this show is because apparently I'm intelligent. We'll be back right after this.
Caution, the Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience.
Oh, I don't know what to do. Here comes the
to
What we
take
talk
you more
about.
out of your focus than what you all were just talking about.
What we talk about during these breaks, you have no idea, people. You know, people pay big money to listen to this stuff.
And we weren't periscoping that either.
I know, because anyway, we're back on the Mark Gungor Show talking about love, marriage, and relationships. So my son, Phil,
Had an epiphany.
was talking about the epiphany because he was over in Switzerland. By the way, if you want myself to come speak to your group and you can't afford me, you can hire him. He works for less than me at this point. But then he'll be more expensive than I will someday. Anyway, the point being, he was stunned because he's in this group. They're highly educated people, PhDs, stuff like that. And then you start talking these basic truths that he's heard from his brilliant father about relationships. And they're stunned. They've never heard it before. And to this day, I am stunned at how people way more educated than me, even pastors, and share some of those basic stuff, and they just look at you and go, wow. I never
That's
heard of that before.
revolutionary.
But listen, maybe, I don't know. I always downplay it.
But here's what I think why this is. And I think it's because I realize it's kind of there's an analogy with food and nutrition, okay?
Oh, that's my area of expertise.
Yeah, so clearly you can tell we've got that part of it nailed, so this part will be easy. But no, you know what I thought? I thought, it comes down to the feelings, I think, because the biggest thing people teach you about relationships is they connect it with romance or feelings. And that's what's... Anytime you hear anyone talk about it, that's the whole thing. Even the sex ed, they don't teach you how to not do it. They teach you how to do it as safely as possible and then what to do if you get pregnant or this or that. And I thought, romance is to a relationship what taste is to food.
I have to write that down.
So when it comes to food, right, when you are very young, as we all know with small kids, or you have like your...
When you're very young like myself?
Yeah, our little kids... my 5-year-old, or even my 2-year-old, really, they will base what is good for them to eat just simply on how it tastes. And they don't understand it. They don't understand nutrition. They just know it tastes good, and so they want to do it. We were at my parents' house yesterday. My little girl barely ate anything for dinner, but when it came time for, within about a 5-minute period, of course, being at the grandparents' house, this doesn't help, saw ice cream... gummies.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Cookie.
I'm offended.
But no chicken or potatoes or broccoli.
And what happens when you eat all that stuff? You get sick. Now, as you mature, right? We teach kids. Well, you need
some people.
Some people get sick. Some of us thrive.
Some people never learn to not eat cookies and gummies and
all right,
candies.
shut up over there. Okay, keep going.
So anyway, as you get older, you kind of figure this thing out with nutrition, and that's what you need. To have a good, healthy diet, or at least you should. Now, with relationships, we never get past the taste part of it. In fact, if you listen to the experts, they teach you how to spice up your marriage. And it's all about this romance. It's basically like you need more sweets. And people have no clue now how to actually do a healthy, normal, what we would consider very basic truths in relationship. And you know what I thought? You can have a good, healthy diet if you eat just good food for you, if it had zero taste, right? You could be healthy, you could survive. The same is true in relationships. If you pull out romance out of a relationship, you can still have a really great relationship. They're called just friendships, right? I've got guy friends that I've been friends with since we were 5 years old. One of them listens to the show. And I'll speak to you, Matt, while...
We won't mention any names, but its initials are Matt.
Well, I've never had any romantic interest in you. No, I can't speak for you.
He might have some bromance going on there.
Bromance.
But absolutely zero romance, and we have a really good relationship because you learn how to do the right relationship things. Yeah. But then all of a sudden we jump into this world of marriage. Those relationship things go out of the window. It's all about romance, all about how I feel. Taste. How do I pour more into the feel?
Really what he's saying here is really rather brilliant.
It is.
He must have an incredibly brilliant father, is all I can say.
I'm just sitting here thinking it's our next book. Come on.
No, but what I'm serious about, because I never dawned on me before. Almost all the times that I do hear a pastor preaching about marriage.
What are they talking about?
That's what they talk about.
Exactly.
So that's why when we come along and say, here's the practical side to this, they're all going like, wow. I mean, that's why they're taken by, because they haven't focused on the practical side of this thing.
It's how to get the taste
More taste back.
It's how to have a good,
better.
healthy, nutritional relationship. in your marriage. Does it require romance? Absolutely. If you take out the romance, it's just a couple of dudes.
Or the bromance.
Well, because otherwise it's like a diet. I mean, you could eat stuff that just tasted blah, but then what's the point? That's kind of...
Well, the point is stay alive.
Well, I know, but you know what I'm...
No, but I mean, it's a great
Check with
analogy
me.
because
I know.
sometimes the relationship, you just need to eat the tofu.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else to eat right now. Why do I want to eat? Because you're going to die.
But it's like you saying that to a group of 5-year-old kids. I can't just eat ice cream all the time.
No, they don't understand.
But you're right.
But
You're so right.
it tastes so great. But that's why I love food, is because of how wonderful this tastes.
And I like broccoli.
Do you see why you have the
Brussels
health
sprouts.
issues that you have, and because you've been doing this for so long, and that's why these people. I was just shocked at how they're blown away by just these simple truths.
See, what I say is, when I start talking about romance in my seminars, I say, look, a lot of these seminars and pastors preach these sermons, I say right in front of the pastors, when they talk about romance, they actually make it worse because they overblow it. And I got this line, I say, you got to have lots of flowers and candles, and you got to hire an orchestra, and it's always awkward having sex in front of the orchestra, and everybody laughs, this way. Little shtick line there. But I never thought of it, but actually that's what they're doing is just that. That's all they really talk about, is how to get it more tasty.
Yep.
How to put more MSG. Right?
Yeah, and MSG makes me sick.
That stuff makes me
That's
strong.
why I make her sick.
MSG, mega strength gainer.
Yeah? No, that's not the one.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Seriously, that's really good, Phil.
That is good. That's very good.
There we go.
What were we talking about just before we said that, though? Oh, just this I had one last thought on this thing about priorities.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. Is it gets so confusing, people, when they start talking these priorities things, because they say God first, family second, work last, and people really struggle with it. Because here's the irony of it. If you were to say, is that true? Yeah. But what do you spend most of your time doing?
Working.
The thing that's at the bottom of the list. What's the next thing you do most? Your family. What's the thing that you actually probably do the least? Yeah. Is pray.
Yep.
Well, according to their mentality, your priorities are all wrong. Notice so many people are stressed out and full of guilt and discouraged in their spirituality and stuff. When you keep talking, you've got to put it in those kind of contexts of, who gets the most attention. Well, just whoever gets the most attention doesn't mean that it's a priority, they're more important. Sometimes the people who get the most attention are the biggest pains in the butt.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
Quiet over there, you Smurf.
Says,
you fat Smurf.
So the
Be
girl
quiet.
who works for hours for...
Even a kid, sometimes the kid who gets the most attention is the one who's the biggest pain.
This is true.
Right? Is why you love them more. No, he's just a bigger pain. Yeah. So when you start putting in who has spent more time with and all this other, and this whole analogy of, priorities and stuff, I think is just a terrible way to do it. I get it. God is the most important. All the stuff that you talk about is fine. But getting into this thing about who do I love more and how do I make this decision about when to switch the way I feel, and if my, wife is drowning and my, granddaughter's drowning, there's just, what a bizarre thing.
I don't know.
I tell you, my grandkids are drowning, my wife's drowning. I'll say to my wife, see you in heaven. Told you where that life is. You never listen to me, woman. Anyway.
Jesus would be up there shaking his head. I tried to tell him.
They don't wear their life jacket. It ain't my fault. All right. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more right after this.
Download your free Mark Gungor app today to see all of the latest from the world of Mark Gungor.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show. Mark Gungor, Diane, the Blue Smurf, and Phil. What do you got?
Are y'all done now?
With the Smurf comments?
No.
Not till the show's over.
I know. No, with all of the other comments about this, that, and the other. We're ready for a new email?
I guess so. Go ahead.
Okay, this is the guy writing. He says, I've listened to your show for a while now, come to know God after being a Christian for a good part of my life. So apparently he was just doing the Christian thing, but has gotten serious about it. Do you know what I mean?
As a result from listening to this show?
So it sounds like come to know God. Wow. Yeah, okay.
There's people who have to become Christians listening to this show.
Yes.
One of them wanted to kill me.
Yes,
You
he
know this one?
did. Yes.
He literally, did you hear this?
I'm friends with him on Facebook.
No, he
Yeah,
he listened to
seriously.
me. He's an atheist, and he's listening to me, and I hate what you said. It made me so mad. And he said, I literally was walking around thinking, I'm going to kill Mark Gungor. I just need to kill. I mean, he's obsessed by it. You know, that's a good reason to start carrying a gun. I'll tell you right there.
Pack
People out
in.
there apparently want to kill me. But anyway, it so haunted him. It caused him to think and look into it. And as a result of his trying to find an answer to what I said, became a Christian.
Yeah.
Now he's like this very devout Christian.
Yeah, doing all his ministry stuff and everything.
I mean, he's like
goodness.
into it big time. His motivation is, I wanted to kill Mark Gungor.
That is your gift.
That's my gift. I cause people to hate me.
Yes, the annoying. It's the annoying.
Not the anointing, the annoying.
Anyhow,
All right,
so he's
so
come
this-
to know God
Okay.
after, kind of just half doing it
Thought of something
for
funny,
his.
but I'll say the joke off air because I don't know.
Okay. So his wife ended up cheating on him
Okay.
with at least 3 other guys. And after this
Oh!
long, drug out divorce,
Oh,
so
that's
he's
a
on his
hoe.
own now. He's
ho,
on his
ho,
own now.
ho.
Okay.
Wait a minute. He gets married. This chick has 3 affairs on
That's
him?
what he says. Yes, cheated on
Ow.
me throughout the time they were married.
How long were they married?
They were married for 8 years, and he says cheated on me throughout with at least 3 others.
Man, you got issues.
Yeah.
I can see getting in a situation where you haven't. Look, I don't condemn anybody, really. I yell at people, but I yell at stupid things that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But someone who makes a mistake, that I don't.
Like, whoops, it happened.
You know, and I understand people having affairs. Some of the greatest pastors in the world have had affairs. You get too close to someone, you're not paying attention. It doesn't take much. I fear, oh God, keep me from such things. Anyway, but when you intentionally go have affairs with multiple people, man, you got issues. And she's at least 3.
Well, he was military, so it could have been while he was gone. He's military, or was
So,
military.
I've heard about this. Some of these girls, as soon as he goes off, they think, well, I'm going to go screw somebody else.
Yeah.
That's sad, man.
It is.
Wow.
So anyway, that's
All right, so that's the
his
thing.
past history.
Okay.
Okay. So now his view on marriage is he wants to get to know someone for at least a few years, which that's a little bit too long, sir, but that's a side issue.
Yep.
And then waiting for sex until marriage. But
Yeah.
he says it has provided a great amount of laughter for people. This goes for people in and out of the church, with the exception of the much older generation. He said, and in all countries where he's talked about this. The consensus is that it is idealized or idealistic, and that I should be realistic with my expectations, that even women want the try it before you buy it scenario. So far, I have yet to find even one woman who doesn't bust up laughing from this. I'm not caught up on good looks, he says. I'm looking for a quality woman with strong biblical morals, and I'm wondering
Who wears blue?
if they even exist any longer, or am I looking for a unicorn, he says. Any input on this would be greatly appreciated.
I don't think you're looking for a unicorn, man. There's a lot of Christian girls that want to marry a guy who wants to do the right thing.
Yes.
The problem that you're looking for, that I would laugh at as well, is you want to date for years,
Yes.
and it just doesn't happen.
Not
dude.
for a few years.
No. 1 year, and quite frankly, after you've already been married and you're older in life, it's going to be more like 6 months, maybe. Listen, you fall in love with somebody, you get close to somebody, it's the law of nature. You're going to want to get naked with somebody, all right? You find somebody, you want to do life with them, you think this is a great person, I want to marry this person, you marry them, and then have all the sex you can handle. That'd be fabulous. If you think, well, no, I want to slow down, I want to be dating for years, the chance of you not having sex with them is almost zero, or there's something wrong with you.
You probably shouldn't get married.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You're
If you
supposed
can go for a few years without really crossing that line with somebody
Yeah.
you're in love with, you probably don't need to get married.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you. Here's the thing. It's normal. You're supposed to want to have sex with somebody. I don't have a problem with people wanting to have sex. You're supposed to want to have sex. That's what makes you get married. If it weren't for sex, why would you do the marriage thing? Just go have a friend, hang out, live with your cousin or something. It is the sexual drive. So the unrealistic part, I don't think, is that you can't find someone who wants to wait with you. I think the unrealistic part is you want to wait for years to find someone who doesn't want to have sex with you for years until you get married.
He's not finding any woman who doesn't feel that way, that they all want to try it before they. Maybe he's really good looking.
It might
maybe
be,
he's
but
military. Maybe he's one of those SEAL guys.
Like
and they
Navy
all want
SEALs.
to try.
Yeah, I don't. Look,
I'd try that.
I don't know. And I put you girls in a weird situation. But you're older. You've been married for a while. You meet somebody, and he's an attractive guy, and you want to get on with your life again, and you want to start. And
It wouldn't. You couldn't do it for very long. You would have to move on it.
But so I said, listen, I would like to date you for like 3-4 years first.
No.
What are you going to do? You're going
no.
Most women aren't going to want to, and devout women who want to do stuff right. It's not that they want to necessarily.
It's the very reason I would want to do it right is why I wouldn't date you for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, because you can't pull it off that long. So I don't know who these women are that all laugh at you. My guess is the only unrealistic part, and that's what they might be talking about, is your idea of dating for years without having sex. That's why I tell people all the time, don't do this. You have a 1-year window, and that's for young people. Older man, you can even make up your mind a lot faster. And do you know there's cultures all over the world that decide within a weekend to a month on whether or not to get married, that have some of the lowest divorce rates in the world? The jacked up people are the ones in Western culture that date for years, like what you're talking about, and it only makes it worse. Hasidic Jews, they meet, and within 1 month, they decide whether or not to get married. If you can't make up your mind in 1 month, why are you even doing this? That's the way they look at it. Very low divorce rates. People in India, they literally get together for the weekend. They literally meet together for the weekend, and by the end of the weekend, they decide whether or not to get married. There's cultures in, I don't know where I met these people from, Thailand or Vietnam, or the same thing. They get together in a weekend. You decide, no, I don't want to marry you, and move on. Or, and then they're married forever. You know that they never had divorce, but they have like 5% divorce rate, a lot better than we do. So this idea, all you guys, you single soldier, by the way, God bless you for your service. You said, don't be thinking years. Make up your mind. Now, you young people, I get it. You know, you're 19, 20, 21 years. Yeah, date for a year. But then if you can't make up your mind by a year, you're crazy. Dump them and move on. But you start getting later in life, second marriage, whatever type of things, that sexual thing that you've been living out is really on a hair trigger. And you should be able to make a decision fairly quickly. So if they're mocking you, I probably would also break out laughing to anyone who says, well, I'm going to do this for years and not have sex and then move on from there.
That's a good point. It was probably not the abstinence while you're dating part that he was getting the blowback on. It was probably the doing it for years.
Well, he did say that they wanted to
try before they buy.
That's true.
If you're going to church and all the girls, if you're going to a church where all the girls want to try before they buy, you're going to the wrong church.
Sure.
I don't even know anybody in church like that. That's their thinking. I know a lot of people in church that are dating. That's what they start doing, just because they, are dating too long. But I just can't imagine that you're going to a church where all the women just, hey, let's get naked before we get married. I just don't know too many people who think that way. You might be hanging with the wrong crowd. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more right after this.
Want more of Mark? Visit markgungor.com. There you will find everything that Mark has to offer.
Do I dare let myself sit a while and ponder? Do I dare let my heart start to wander into the land of make-believe?
The music of Michael O'Brien. Have you ever listened to this album? It's really well done. And the orchestration is insane. Is that the one with like the London Philharmonic or something? I don't know what he did.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he had to dump a lot of money with the orchestrations and the chords and everything. I mean, he's a brilliant musician. Michael O'Brien, his website is michaelo.org. All right.
Okay, dating question. Okay. The guy writing, 8 months ago, God blessed me with an incredible girlfriend.
8 months ago?
Yes.
Okay.
The only reason I haven't proposed is because I'm waiting for financial stability.
Good thing.
We won't talk about that.
Good thing. That's
we won't
you always want to
we
have
won't go
enough
off
money.
on that tangent.
You got to have enough money because, I'm 62 and I still don't have enough money.
We won't go off on that tangent.
Really sarcastically complimenting him on that.
Everything between us is fantastic. She is my first girlfriend. I'm her first boyfriend. The real issue we have is the amount of time she expects me to give her. We love being with each other, and if I had my way, I would only want to be with her and no one else. However, I think that is unhealthy thinking for both of us. My friends and her friends have all approached me at least once and shared with me the same concern that she may be a bit too clingy and makes everyone either worry or feel uncomfortable. I thought about maybe getting counseling, but I wanted to hear your counsel first. My question is, how much time should I give her over my friends and work, and what actions do I take in order to help her correctly prioritize our relationship alongside the friendships we have with others?
All right, you single people, listen to me. I have said this many times. I will say it again. And I'll say it till the day I die. Hopefully, if you say it enough, at some point, someone starts to get the picture. If you need relationship counseling before you get married, you're a moron, all right? Dump the girl and move on. But God brought you. You just met this lady. You know what God did or not. Marriage is a choice. It's not a divine encounter. You make a choice. Here's a lady. You like the lady, but she's really clean. She's sucking the life out of me. I can't be around anybody else. It might be a little healthy. Do you think? Listen to your friends. Your friends and family see stuff you don't see because you're so emotionally caught up. They're not emotionally caught up. Your friends and family saying, she's a little psycho. So move on. Just move on. He said, well, should I get some counseling? Are you crazy? What is it with you? I don't understand. Honestly, what is this? We need counseling when we're dating. Mm-hmm. Who does that?
This should be the easy part.
Yes.
Exactly.
Here's the thinking.
The time it should be the easiest when everything's going the best is now. And you're already having problems.
This is
Get
the
away
thinking.
from her.
This is the thing. I tell you, I know this is thinking because I've talked to people. They think that they have to learn to negotiate and manage conflict and problems and take care of their issues now, because if they don't learn it now, then they're not going to be able to figure it out when they're married. So they don't want to dump the relationship because there'll always be problems in life and always problems in marriage. So therefore, we have to learn to manage them.
Listen to me. I have conflicts with my wife, but we don't go to counseling. Lots of people have to learn how to overcome things without ever having to go to counseling, to where it's so complicated. I need someone that's going to help us. I agree. You need to learn to handle stuff. You need to make your thing. You need to communicate what you need from each other and all that kind of stuff. But when you're telling me it's so bad, it's so frustrating, it's so beyond what I feel I can reach for that I need counseling, then you're crazy if you stay with that person that you're dating.
And how he jumped to counseling before actually talking to her.
Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe they're jumping to counseling too soon. I don't know.
Just talk to her first.
If you think you need counseling, you need to get out. Dating is just dating. You haven't married the girl, you're dating her. If she's crazy, get away from her. See ya.